You are going to spend money today that you didn't plan to spend. Not because you're irresponsible, not because you're bad with money, but because the most sophisticated manipulation system ever built is running inside your skull. And it was optimized over millions of years to make you spend. And here's the part that should genuinely scare you. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how many finance videos you've watched. The system runs anyway. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about why intelligent people make financially catastrophic decisions. Not because they're stupid, but because they're human. Today, we're going to talk about the invisible architecture inside your brain that was never designed to build wealth. It was designed to do something else entirely. And once you see it, really see how it works, you're going to look at your last 3 months of bank statements and feel something you haven't felt before. Let's get into it. Here's a question I want you to sit with for a second. Why do people who get raises not save more? We covered that in the last video. But here's the deeper question underneath that question. Why does spending feel so natural and saving feel so hard? Because if saving more money is objectively the correct financial decision, and it is, then why does almost nobody do it automatically? Why do you have to force yourself, set reminders, create rules, build systems? Here's what most people don't realize. Saving is not the default state of the human brain. Spending is. Not because we're weak, not because we lack discipline, but because the human brain evolved in a world where hoarding resources was dangerous and consuming them immediately made sense. You don't save the mammoth for later. Something else eats it. You consume now. You spend now. You take now. That instinct is still running in you right now. While you watch this video, that ancient system is scanning your environment for things to acquire, things to consume, things to upgrade. And the people selling you things? They know this better than you do. The American Psychological Association found that 72% of Americans report feeling stressed about money, and yet consumer spending hit a record $19.8 trillion in 2023, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis. Stressed about money, spending record amounts of it at the same time. That is not a coincidence. That is the system working exactly as designed. So what's actually happening inside your brain when you make a purchase? Here's the thing, and this is the part most finance content completely skips over. The pleasure doesn't come from having the thing. It comes from wanting it. Neuroscientists at Stanford have studied this extensively. The dopamine spike, the feel-good chemical, fires hardest during anticipation, not possession. The moment you click Add to Cart, the moment you walk into the store, the moment you open the app, that's when your brain rewards you, before you've spent a single dollar. This is what behavioral economists call the anticipation effect. And it means your brain has already given you the reward before you've paid the price. So when you actually buy the thing, flat, normal. The reward already happened, which is why within 72 hours of most purchases, people return to baseline satisfaction and start scanning for the next thing to want. Meet Alex. Alex is 31, makes $72,000 a year, has $1,200 in savings. Not because Alex doesn't earn enough, but because Alex's brain has been running this loop. Want, anticipate, buy, flatten, want again, approximately 40 times per month on purchases between $20 and $200. I want you to think about the last 5 things you bought that weren't food or rent. Can you remember what they are? Can you remember what you were feeling the day before you bought them? Most people can't, because the wanting was the point, not the having. Now, here's where it gets really interesting and genuinely uncomfortable. The retail and tech industries don't just know about your dopamine loop. They have entire departments dedicated to engineering it. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is documented, published, and patent protected. Variable reward scheduling, the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive, is deliberately built into every major e-commerce platform. The inconsistent discount, the flash sale that expires in 47 minutes, the only 3 left in stock flag. These are not honest urgency signals. They are manufactured scarcity designed to trigger your threat response system, making your brain treat buying as risk avoidance, not spending. When your brain perceives scarcity, it doesn't calculate rationally. It acts fast. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for long-term financial planning, gets partially bypassed. Your brain switches to survival mode. And in survival mode, buying the thing feels like protecting yourself. The University of Miami's business school published research showing that artificial scarcity cues increase purchase likelihood by up to 67%, regardless of whether the buyer actually needs the product. 67% on something you didn't plan to buy because a countdown timer told your ancient brain that the mammoth was running away. Amazon employs over 5,000 behavioral scientists and UX researchers. Your willpower is a decision you make once. Their manipulation is a system refined by a trillion-dollar company over 2 decades. This is not a fair fight. Let's go back to Alex. Alex's $72,000 salary breaks down to about $4,800 take-home per month after taxes. Fixed costs, rent, utilities, insurance run $2,200. That leaves $2,600 in what should be flexible money. Here's what actually happens to that $2,600. Impulse purchases, things Alex didn't plan to buy and can't clearly remember. $340 per month. That's the Amazon order at 11 p.m., the in-app upgrade, the thing that was on sale. According to Slick Deal's 2023 consumer survey, the average American makes $314 in unplanned purchases every month. Subscription creep. Services Alex signed up for and no longer actively uses but hasn't canceled. $127 per month. West Monroe Partners found in their 2023 survey that consumers underestimate their monthly subscriptions by an average of $133. Upgrade spending. Replacing things that still function because newer exists. $215 per month. New phone, new shoes, updated software, the version 2 of the thing that was fine. That's $682 per month, every month, in spending that the rational part of Alex's brain didn't choose. The ancient part did. Over 10 years, $682 per month invested at a 7% annual return, consistent with the S&P 500 historical average according to Morningstar, is $1,182,000. The math is brutal. Alex isn't spending $682 a month. Alex is spending $1.18 million over the next decade, every month, on things Alex can't remember wanting 2 weeks later. Here's what this looks like in practice across 3 categories that hit differently. Category 1, the upgrade trap. When did you last use something until it was genuinely broken? Not outdated, not slightly slower, not running a software version behind, actually broken. The upgrade cycle in electronics has shortened from an average of 4.7 years in 2010 to 2.5 years in 2023, according to consumer intelligence research partners. But the functionality gap between generations has compressed. The phone you have now does almost everything the next model does, but your brain doesn't experience it that way, because the new one exists, which makes the one you have feel insufficient. This is called relative deprivation, and it's why owning perfectly good things can make you feel poor. The more choices you have available, the worse your financial decisions become. This is documented. Barry Schwartz's research on the paradox of choice shows that expanded options don't increase satisfaction. They increase anxiety, comparison, and ultimately spending as an attempt to resolve that anxiety. More options, more spending. Less satisfaction, every time. Category 2. The social proof trap. You are not buying for yourself as often as you think. You are buying for the version of yourself other people see. This is not weakness. This is biology. Social belonging was a survival requirement for your ancestors. Exclusion from the group meant death. So your brain evolved to be exquisitely sensitive to status signals. And in 2024, status signals are mostly purchased. Robert Cialdini's research on social proof shows that people dramatically underestimate how much peer behavior influences their own purchasing and dramatically overestimate how much of their spending is independently chosen. Category 3. The convenience tax. The most expensive thing you buy is time savings you don't actually use. The premium grocery store, the delivery fee, the subscription that has a cheaper tier you've never switched to. These are sold to you as convenience, and your brain, which values effort reduction highly, pays the premium without calculating the real cost. Food delivery platform fees, service charges, and tips now add an average of 44% to the cost of a restaurant meal, according to a 2023 report by Gordon Haskett Research. 44% for the convenience of not walking? Now, I need you to sit with something uncomfortable before we get to what you can actually do about this. Every month for the last 12 months, this system has been running in you. The dopamine loop, the scarcity trigger, the social proof pull, the convenience tax. How much has it cost you? Not in dollars spent, you can add that up yourself. I mean, what would that money be worth in 20 years if it had compounded instead of evaporated? What did you trade your financial future for? A feeling that lasted 72 hours and a product you can't fully remember choosing? I'm not asking this to make you feel bad. I'm asking it because most people have never calculated it, and there is a specific number waiting for you in your bank history, a number that once you see it, changes how you experience the urge to spend. Now, you might be thinking, Nick, this is just how it works. Everyone spends money. What am I supposed to do, stop buying things? No. You're supposed to stop letting the ancient part of your brain make financial decisions the modern part of you will regret. There is a difference, and it's worth understanding. Here's the practical mechanism that actually works, and the reason it works is rooted in the same neuroscience we've been talking about. It's called the 72-hour circuit breaker, and it exploits the fact that dopamine spikes during anticipation, not possession. The rule is this: for any unplanned purchase above $50, you wait 72 hours before buying. Here's what most people don't realize about why this works. It's not about willpower. It's about which part of your brain is making the decision. In the moment of desire, your limbic system, the ancient, emotional, threat-sensitive part, is in control. It was triggered by a scarcity cue, a social comparison, a flash sale. It needs to act now. 72 hours later, the trigger has expired. The dopamine has normalized, and your prefrontal cortex, the part capable of calculating that $682 per month is $1.18 million over a decade, is back online. Research from the Journal of Consumer Psychology shows that a mandatory waiting period reduces impulsive purchase rates by 53%, without reducing purchases that the buyer genuinely values. That's the key distinction. You're not eliminating spending, you're filtering it. You're letting the rational system catch up to the emotional one. Now, you might be thinking, but what about sales? What if it's gone in 72 hours? Here's the thing, and this is the part the retail industry doesn't want you to understand. If something is genuinely valuable at sale price, it is almost always available again. Flash sales repeat, products restock, and if something is truly gone forever and you genuinely needed it, you'll know that in 72 hours too. What won't survive 72 hours? The impulse you mistook for a need. Step 1. You feel the urge to buy something unplanned above $50. Write it down. Note the date and what triggered it. Sale, social media, boredom, stress. Step 2. Wait. Do not engage with the product page, the ad, or the store for 72 hours. The anticipation loop needs to complete and flatten. Step 3. Return to the item in 72 hours. If you still want it and can articulate specifically why it improves your life, buy it, guilt-free. If the desire has faded, you just save the money and prove the point. Alex ran this system for 3 months. Not perfectly, but enough. Impulse spending dropped from $340 per month to $95. Subscription audit eliminated $84 in unused services. Total recovered $566 per month. Nearly $1 million from one rule, applied imperfectly, over a decade. Here's what most people will do after watching this video. They'll nod, they'll feel the discomfort, and then, within 48 hours, the loop will restart. Because the system is still running, and they haven't changed anything structural. But you're not most people. You've just seen the mechanism. You know what the dopamine spike feels like now. You know what the scarcity trigger is doing to your decision-making. You know what the 72 hours is for. The people who build wealth aren't people who want things less. They're people who learned to pause between the wanting and the buying. That pause is worth almost $1 million. Now here's the only question that matters. The last thing you bought on impulse, what were you actually buying it for? Think about that one.